Welcome to FridAI, the intersection of artificial intelligence and real-world business innovation. Your host today is Andrew Wall, a seasoned expert in blending technology with business strategy. Joining Andrew are two special guest hosts, the insightful Kasim Mukhtar and the dynamic Rachel Stedman. Together, they'll explore the cutting edge of using AI for marketing and lead generation. Dive into how AI can craft a marketing plan that's not just effective, but incredibly intuitive. Discover AI's role as the ultimate audience matchmaker and learn about crafting irresistible lead magnets with its help. They'll also discuss the impact of AI on creatives and social media strategies, providing insights into how content can deeply engage audiences. And delve into the art of AI-enhanced lead scoring, a technique that's revolutionizing how businesses prioritize their leads. Whether you're an IT consultant, a doctor, or a real estate agent, this episode promises to equip you with the latest AI tools and strategies to elevate your marketing game. Thank you, and let's get started today with FridAI Live.
Woohoo! We are back for another amazing episode. Thank you, ChatGPT, for this wonderful introduction. Rachel insisted we bring her back in for the fold. Hey, where's my intro?
Yes, I require this on every single intro that I ever have.
And just another fun example of ways to introduce artificial intelligence into your everyday life. We've got a really exciting episode today where we're talking specifically about introducing AI into your sales and marketing process. As ChatGPT has told you, we've got lots of fun things that we're going to be discussing today over the course of the show. I do want to remind everyone that last week we had an amazing episode, and we launched with that episode for the first time a new course that goes along with it. If you want to get access to that free course, don't forget to go back and watch that past episode and comment AI Unlocked. The good news is we've got another course coming for you this week as well. So if you comment down below AI Unlocked in this week's episode, you're going to get access to this week's course, which is all about using Canva for your sales and marketing automation. But before we jump into how we're actually going to leverage AI for sales and marketing automation, which I promise you we've got tons of content on that today, I want to talk about what's been going on in the news. We always start with what's been going on in AI in the last week because things are happening at such a rapid pace. And last week, Kasim, you were talking about how excited you were about the advent of, or the combination of hardware and software. And we saw some pretty exciting news with that. You wanted to share with us what's going on in this week with artificial intelligence?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm getting up, like Rachel would say, like a small boy.
I see it on your face.
I'm really excited about it. I'm really pumped. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's last week this company released an AI hardware tool. It's like a device. Firstly, it looks very cool. It's like the size of this phone, I guess, but it's more squarish.
Maybe even a little smaller.
Yeah, a little smaller, a little squarish. Not very conventional, I would say. The color is pretty cool as well. I think it's like orange, not the conventional generic colors that you get. That's nice. And the interesting thing about this device is that it works like a smartphone, but not quite, because it doesn't have any applications in it. Now that kind of that might turn your that might take your mind a bit as to how we're supposed to interact with it if it doesn't have any applications. Now that's the interesting part about this device, is that it's actually trained not only just on large language model, but it's also trained on a large action model. What that means is that they took this AI model and they trained it on a bunch of different software user interfaces. So, for example, user interfaces, whenever you use an application, it has something you interact with, it has a user interface. And now here comes the mind-blowing part, right? Now, this is what the device does. It can literally do anything that you manually do with your phone by just saying a command to it. So, for example, if I want to book an Uber with my phone, I just say, "Hey, Rabbit, book an Uber for me," and boom, the Uber and the ride would come. If I want to book a flight ticket and be like, I don't want to go through the hassle of finding the right flight at the right time, and then I just be like, hey Rabbit, book this flight for me, and then it would do that. And that seems, now I am a bit skeptical. Andrew was talking about it as well as
Yeah, I'm like,
how,
is this another Google
yeah,
ad where they're faking it and it really doesn't perform the way it
yeah,
promises? I mean, if it does perform the way it promises, and I think one of the analogies I saw online is it's sort of like the Zapier of AI.
yeah,
It's not actually an AI itself. It's just connecting AI to all these different tools and actions to enable it to do real world stuff. And unlike Humane, which was probably the worst demo I've ever seen in my life, where you're like, what does this actually do for me other than like project something on my hand, which I don't see the value of. It was
yeah,
showing in real world. It's got a camera. Its primary form of interaction is via voice. So you're going to talk to it and you're going to be able to train it. If it doesn't know how to do something already, you're going to show it how to do it, maybe on your computer or on the device itself. And then it's going to know that and be able to do that going forward. And I mean, if it can really do all the things that they showed it doing, I think this is an exciting device. The big issue I have is they said it's not going to replace your phone. Are
yeah.
people really going to be carrying around two devices, or is this just really a software that should have been embedded as an app on your
In a
phone
phone.
and not been hardware, right? Like you've got camera built in. Like what? I guess it must be doing some processing behind the scenes that is beyond my pay grade, that requires it to be a physical device. But even then, I mean, I would much rather probably see it as being another device that connects via Bluetooth that sits in my bag or my, or your purse or whatever it is, and can run all that functioning. And then, you can still just use your phone because, that's what people don't really want another device, right? They want less devices. They want to run on just their watch if they could, right? So that's the only beef I have with it. But it does seem exciting, and it's amazing that it literally like rolled out the week after you were talking about 2024
Yes,
being
yeah,
the year of integrating hardware with
yeah,
software. And what do you know? A week later, a new piece of hardware
It was
is
coming.
launched.
I'm a psychic,
So
guys. What can I
you
say?
have you have a
Know me
Oh
great
wait,
well.
crystal ball,
can
Kasim.
you give me the next lotto ticket numbers, psychic? I mean, I need something more
Uh,
tangible.
yeah, that's gonna cost you. If you're good at something, don't do it for free, eh?
I mean, here's the
So
thing.
yeah,
I mean, it
Yeah,
does sound scary a little bit. Like, again, you know me. I'm always skeptical. I'm like, okay, I tell you to book me a
devil's
ticket,
advocate. Yeah.
and meanwhile, you're booking me a first class ticket to here, there, everywhere. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would trust it to be able to do this independently of not really being able to look at it, right? And then the other thing is that if you have to voice everything, sometimes when you're online searching stuff, you might be searching one thing, but what you really want, other things pop up and you're like, oh, well, that's actually what I want information on. So it's like with this, it's like I have to be on point to know exactly, specifically what I am looking for. And then again, I have too many devices I have to talk to already in my house. It's like one more is too much.
Yeah,
the
another voice
only,
assistant. Do we
my
really
only
need one?
my only beef with this device is that I'm the kind of person who, when I like to shop for stuff, I
Mhm.
always like to have options in front of me, right? Even
Yep.
if I'm booking a flight ticket, I want to
Yes.
see what times there are, what options there are, which airline I want to
Yep.
choose, stuff
Yep.
like that. It doesn't allow you to do it. You just have to trust it, which I don't know if people would be into it.
A lot of trust.
Cool.
Well, and the one thing that we have seen over and over again is that, well, early adopters like you and I, Kasim, do love and embrace this technology. There's far more people like Rachel who have a natural distrust of AI than there are
Mhm.
people, even though there's millions of people who've downloaded and are using, ChatGPT, there's still a massive, massive distrust of AI in the general populace.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess time will tell. We'll see how it rolls out. We've also got CES going on right now. So I'm sure that we're going to see even new forms of hardware coming out. I was already telling Kasim there's new microphone that I've just ordered that I heard about as a result of CES. There's going to be a whole bunch of new tech. I can't wait for Jim to be coming back from CES and share with him all his stories. But there's been other updates too, not just in what's going on the hardware side. So on the software side, it looks like ChatGPT has rolled out the GPT store, which is pretty exciting. And it's available, I believe, to all users. I know it's certainly available to the paid users, and I've been playing around with it. What are your thoughts, Kasim, on the new GPT store and that rolling out?
Well, the GPT store, I'm really excited about for two things. So, firstly, the hassle of building your own GPT, I think that kind of, even though it's easy and it's a few steps, that kind of turned people off a little bit. Where, I mean, you wanted to do something specifically good, but you're not sure what the prompts should be, what data you should train it on, and stuff like that. Now, literally, like an app store, you have a whole GPT store. And there was this one I was looking at, which was basically like a GPT to come up with citations from different research papers. And I was like, wow, back when I was in college, this would have made my life a lot easier, because it's such a pain, in the butt to go and find the citations from different research papers that you're looking for. So that's number one thing I'm, really pumped about. That's going to make our life a lot easier. Opens up a lot of horizons with these GPTs. And number two, which I'm, maybe what's going to happen in the future, and I don't know if this is something which will take off, is how can people monetize it? Because, there's yeah. I mean, because there's a lot of opportunity in it. And I'm not sure what the price point would be yet for different GPTs. I guess that's something which the market would tell us. But I'm kind of
I actually
interested.
believe the way it's going to work is you're going to actually get paid based on the usage. So you don't actually sell it. They're just going to be like, if you go to the GPT store, you don't have to pay for the GPTs. They're there. So my understanding, and I could be mistaken, if anyone in the audience knows, please do comment and let me know if you're aware of the pricing. But my understanding of the way it's going to work is you're going to be paid based on usage. So you're going to get paid if your GPT is well adopted and well used. And I can tell you, I've already been out there and played around with it. There's a number that are already like, they load you. If you go into the GPT store, there's a couple different sections. You can go by different section, whether it's writing, analysis, whatever the case might be. And there's a couple recommended ones there. But then if you go into the search bar, there's so many more others. And like I was playing around with one last night, which was an accounting one, specifically Canadian accounting. I was asking it a whole bunch of questions about capital dividend accounts and stuff like that. And it was giving me really, really good information. So someone has taken a lot of effort to go in and pre-train this information, which is, so important, because we talk about, crafting the right prompt, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
Someone's taken all that effort to craft all the right prompts. So now you just have to figure out, okay, what problem am I trying to solve for? Is there a GPT out there that's an expert in that? And then you can go and interact with that without having to worry about building the right prompt, which I think is going to really open up AI to and make it more functional for the everyday non-technical user, the people who don't have the time to pre-prompt and provide the information necessary to get good output out of ChatGPT. So I think that's really exciting. And I think it actually ties right into what this week's session is all about, because built into there are things like SEO optimizers, blog writing tools for writing tweets, stuff where someone has gone in, pulled all the research necessary to provide it the things to be able to optimize for search engine optimization, to be able to optimize for engagement on social media channels, to be able to do the analysis of your website, to be able to build a website. Like, all these GPTs are now live in the store, available for you to go and use. But I think, maybe this is a good transition point to talking about how small businesses can actually use artificial intelligence in their sales and marketing side. And to give a bit of context and background and to sort of, I guess, social proof for ourselves. And I'm not saying necessarily we're the experts. We're one voice. I encourage you to go out and listen to as many voices as you can hear on this topic. But we've been using it for a while. We've used it in a number of different ways, from content generation to building marketing plans, to putting together chatbots, to doing a whole bunch of stuff. And just to give you some context and again some social proof. So our sales and marketing team, and we're a small organization, we're a total team, including our entire staff of about 20. Our marketing team you see here, which wears many hats and does multiple things in our organization. So we need to be as efficient as we can with our time. And with our team, we're generating about $500,000 of new lifetime value every single year in acquisition and sales. And we do that in a very structured and programmed plan, right? Like we have a marketing plan, we have a marketing strategy. We are going out, we are using paid advertising, we are using organic advertising, we are doing lead magnets and drip marketing and the entire nurture cycle. But maybe, Kasim, you can talk them through a little bit about how they can build out this sort of marketing strategy within their organization, even if they're only like a one-man shop, right?
Yeah.
How do you use AI to begin your sales and marketing strategies?
Right. So the first thing, which is really important, I guess you touched upon it a little bit as well, is to create your plan. Now, the plan is not necessarily going to be the same for every organization. It will be different, whether you should invest heavily in paid or not, whether you should do drip marketing, how you should do it, stuff like that. The first and the foremost thing is you input all of your information into ChatGPT, what kind of organization you are, what sort of people you're targeting, and then you come up with your plan, right? And even in terms of what kind of people you're targeting, this is something you need to nail down as well. It's really important as to maybe you can use ChatGPT to talk about your services, because these are the foundations of your entire marketing strategy. If you don't have your foundation set in place, then it's all going to fall apart, right? Now, one of the things which I'll talk about specifically, and then I'll pass on the reins to Rachel to maybe talk about some of the customer acquisition and to talk about what kind of people you should be targeting and some AI tools to analyze personalities of people. One of the things which I'm really excited about and which people should use as well is AI in lead magnets. Now, there's a ton of stuff you can do.
I'm going to hold you up there. I apologize, Kasim, because yes, we can jump down the road, all that stuff. But I want to back up and give people some like real tangible advice of like, how are you going to actually go and build this marketing plan using ChatGPT, right? And so one of the things I would say is, I mean, I would think that ChatGPT is probably the best tool for you building out your marketing plan. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you do tell it about, what's your business, who's your target market. And if you haven't identified your target market yet, you can use ChatGPT to help you generate your target market, right? And like, there's a whole bunch of stuff like your unique selling proposition. And what I would say the best thing to do is go to ChatGPT. And in fact, I would say go find a GPT specializing in helping you build a marketing plan, because I bet you there's one out there.
Yep.
And just say, I want you to help me build a marketing plan. First, I'd like you to ask me the questions you need to have to build the information necessary to build a custom marketing plan for my organization. And run through it, answer all of its questions, because the more information and detail that you can provide it about your business, your customer, your unique selling proposition, the better it's going to be able to build that actual marketing plan for you, right? And then take that marketing plan and start building your own GPT out there that is your marketing expert. And I'm not saying you're building this to share with other team members. You're using this as it's your Kasim, your Rachel, your internal marketing person that you're going to go to be like, hey, what should we do this week for, based on our marketing plan, what strategies should I leverage this week to build and grow my audience, to generate more leads, to whatever is the objective of what you're trying to do and generate, right? And of course, now that you have that marketing plan, then you can move on to your lead magnets, which are a really important part of sort of the sales and nurturing process. But maybe even, Kasim, let's even take a step back. Can you explain what a lead magnet is for those who may not be familiar with the concept?
That's really important. So typically what people used to do, and what some people are unfortunately doing now as well, is that they go on the internet and scrape a bunch of leads, their names, people's email addresses, their cell phone numbers, whatnot, and then they try and market to these people by sending them emails, or it could be text messages or whatever. This approach, I personally wouldn't recommend. It doesn't work. Maybe it would work in some anomaly cases, because these people don't know who you are. They'll be annoyed
Yep.
when you reach out to them.
Yes.
There's privacy laws you have to deal with. It's a whole hassle, right? So what a lead magnet does is that you're offering something of value to your potential client, and in exchange of that, in exchange of offering, it could be a guide, it could be a free resource, whatever it is. In exchange of that, you're asking them for some information on how you can reach out to them, or you can maybe ask for a conversion where you can maybe book an initial discovery call with them, something like that, right? So there's that exchange that goes on. You offer something of value to them, and then they provide you with their information, which you can use to nurture them in the future. So that's what a lead magnet is, to preface it with. And that really helps your marketing process, right? Because the people you'll be reaching out to and the people you're delivering your message to, you've already made that initial introduction with them. And if they have downloaded your lead magnet, they're not necessarily cold leads anymore. Like, they're actually interested in your services, right? They're trying to solve problems. So that's the introduction to what a lead magnet is, and I highly recommend everyone out there who's trying to market your business and your services, you should make your own lead magnet. Now, what that lead magnet can be, that's where AI can help you a lot now. We didn't have this help back when we designed all of our lead magnets, right, Andrew, like a couple of years ago. And now we see the potential in it, and it's so helpful, right?
Well,
So
and
there's
we used AI to generate the lead magnet that we've done. So we created a lead
yeah,
magnet for AI that we launched last week, along with the first course that we gave out. So we put together the 9 steps to leveraging AI in your small business. And
yeah,
it's a white paper, and we were able to use AI to help us generate and build that lead magnet. And so it's amazing how quick we were able to build that out, because I think we basically built that out over 1 or 2 days, which in the past it used to take us and we've been doing lead magnets well before we were leveraging AI, and it would take us probably a couple months, from concept
pretty much.
to to
Everything.
the from everything, right? Because first you have the concept, and then you gotta get the data, and then once you got the data, you gotta proofread it, and then after you proofread it, you gotta put it into design, and then after it's in design, you gotta proofread it again, and then you gotta build your web forms, and it just takes months to roll out a new lead magnet.
And then by the time you roll it out, it's most likely outdated, and you got to go all over again, right?
Exactly, right?
So yeah.
And that's the thing too, is in the world that we live in now, with people's attention spans decreasing, we really need to make sure that content really is good. And now you've also got the ability also to not only build it with AI, but cross-check it and have it review and analyze, because now you can put in an image, you can load in your stuff as an image and say, hey, what do you think of this? So not only can it generate the content for you, and not only can you use tools like DALL-E to generate the images that might go along with it, but once you put it all together in sort of your artistic format in Canva or whatever you're going to use, you can pull that back out and say, okay, now AI, I want you to analyze this and tell me, based on my customer base, which I have preloaded into my GPT, based on my business, which you've preloaded into the thing, I want you to analyze this and tell me how I could improve it to generate more leads, or to create more engagement, or whatever your objective might be, right?
One thing which is really helpful is whenever we do a lead magnet, one of the things that I used to struggle with a lot, and it took so much of my time, was to design the perfect headline for our ads, right? The perfect
Yeah.
headline, perfect descriptions, because there's limited number of characters, only 30 for the headline on Google and 90 characters for the description. So you really have to get your point across in that limited character space. And now you can literally just upload the lead magnet and be like, and now you can get a custom GPT maybe to optimize and devise headlines for your ads, which is really, really helpful,
Yeah. So I've got a first question of the show to come in today. Could you provide some insights into the potential challenges or considerations when integrating AI into your marketing strategies, especially concerning social media and content enhancement? And I would say a couple of them that we've come across right off the bat is, if you're using AI voice, the algorithms might prevents you from using that. We've run into that on TikTok. You've also got the whole issue of, is it going to generate actually useful and engaging content, or is it just going to be generic sort of fluff? And I think by default it does just create sometimes just generic fluff, and it really is a matter of sort of refining and improving. But what I would also say is, like, and I hope people don't hate me for saying this, but I'd rather people get marketing and fluff out there and just get started with an actual content marketing strategy, because there are so many small business owners I know who do absolutely nothing as far as a content marketing strategy. And I'd rather you start with crap, like even like Mr. Beast is, what arguably the best content marketer in the world said.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he started out. He says when he looks back at the stuff he started building at the beginning, he thinks of it as trash. Like, wherever you start is not where you finish, right? But if you don't start, you'll never finish, right? And you'll never be able to improve if you don't start somewhere. So, if you start generating, even if it's generic, fluffy, not great content, you'll see that quickly as far as engagement, right? So one of the big things that we measure a lot, and when we're analyzing our own analytics, is not how many followers we have, but what's the engagement like, right? And Kasim's the one who actually generates our monthly report on engagement across all of our social media channels. And that's the most important thing that we're looking at, right? It is like, just because we have 300,000 followers on Facebook doesn't mean that that's our number one platform, although arguably Facebook might be our number one platform. But, in some of this analysis, we've actually determined that, in going through and using AI to do this analysis, we've actually realized that we were maybe focusing on some of the wrong social media platforms, which is why we're doing a lot more. Now you'll see us focused over the next course of the year a lot more on our LinkedIn content marketing strategy. So right here, primarily on LinkedIn, is where we're trying to put our energy. And, we discovered through the analytics that these live sessions and these podcasts were generating more engagement, although in this particular episode, we're hoping to get some more engagement from the audience. So if you are on the show, we'd love to hear from you guys. Are you using any marketing strategies or any AI? Because that engagement does help us realize where we're going to drive more time and energy going forward, right? Because that's the goal with the content marketing strategy, right? Is generating that engagement, and then maybe. And I know we took a bit of an aside with the content marketing strategy, but to loop it back in to the lead magnets that you were talking about, is with that content marketing strategy, that's really to create brand awareness, right? To sort of get your name out there. But then to start moving from marketing into the sales is where your lead magnet comes into play, right? And then you're going to drop your lead magnet in, hey, comment AI unlocked. And then, that might drive you to a web form. That web form would then maybe request some contact information. From that contact information, then it's going to go into a marketing sequence or a nurture sequence, as some people call it. And that's another place where you can leverage AI. And in fact, we have done that ourselves, because, again, we had in place before we were leveraging AI. We had a drip marketing or a nurture sequence. We actually have several nurture sequences because we've got several different campaigns. But we went back and reworked every single piece of content in our nurture sequences. We're also even looking at how we can now make those nurture sequences even more dynamic and sort of bespoke, as they would call it. Because one of the things which we've shared before in the past is a AI automation that we used using Zapier and ChatGPT. So actually Google Forms, Zapier, and ChatGPT. And Rachel, do you want to walk them through a little bit about what that process is? Because you're one of the ones who actually uses that form, and tell them a little bit more about what that does.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, just to even back up a little bit, I mean, I've been with the firm for quite some time, so I've seen the different changes in terms of our marketing, what we did way back when. And, a lot of companies feel, well, you have to have this big marketing firm, and, you need somebody content writer, and then you need a blog, and then it takes a whole month just to get content, to put a blog, to put on a website, to do this. Whereas now, I'm like, Kasim, I need a blog on this. and in like less than a day, Kasim already has something
moment.
well done
Yeah.
for me, right? So I mean, you know, over the years we've tried it all. So now we're in that era when, you know, you're using AI to really you know, just take it to the next level, right? Step it up, right?
Yeah.
So I know from a
And
sales perspective, you know, I see, you know, I have the initial consultations of clients, and you know, sure, you know, we have some the lead magnets and a little bit of engagement, and they download a guide, and then sure, they come in for an IC. But then you really got to try and figure out, who is this person? What are they looking for? What are
Oh,
we
yeah.
offering? How can what we're offering match them? And sometimes, a lot of the times, individuals come in and they don't even know what the problem is. They don't know, they don't really know, or they think they need A, but you have to
yeah,
understand them to know, well, actually, your bigger problem is not A, it's really B, or it's something else. So, you know, trying to understand them, it's very difficult, right? So, you
yeah,
know, there are a lot of tools that we're using that can really help us to decipher, okay, what is the pain point that this person has? Let's have a better understanding. So, you know, we have these tools where we've customized these very specific questions that we're going to ask these prospective clients, right? And these questions are really geared for them to stop and really think, right? It's really thought provoking. You know, think about what exactly we're asking you. Because again, it's not just about us giving you a sales pitch, right? We have to understand you. We have to know the proper questions. So of course, with the use of AI, we're able to formulate what are these key questions that you need to ask to understand this individual, so that
hmm
from there, right, you know, because of course we use the Google Forms for that while we have the consultation. So we're asking them the question, putting the information in, okay, and then of course it then spits out the response to us, so that we have an understanding of, okay, this is what the person told us, right, that they're looking for, or based on our questions, you know, the answers that they gave us. And then it really customizes a response so that you have a better understanding of who the individual is. Now, there are other tools. So, Andrew, I know you've also used Crystal Knows in the past,
Oh,
where again, you know, we're going on, because a lot of people also do put a lot of information about themselves in terms of their professional career, etc., on LinkedIn. So again, it's really, you know, analyzing individuals' personalities, which, and these are, now that is one thing I will say, you know, you do need AI for that. Like, there is,
yeah,
listen, you know, on a good day, I don't think anybody can understand me. It follows for me to understand somebody else, right? So, I mean, it really does help to understand that customer, understand what the customer needs. Because I think the main thing is that if you have a prospect client, and if you're not really able to narrow down to the core of what they're looking for, and for them to feel that you are able to service them with what they need, you're going to lose them, right? They're going to feel like,
yeah,
this person doesn't understand me. They don't know what I want. They'll move on to the next, right? So
yeah,
by utilizing these tools, which is actually really good, like I've really, you know, gone through the responses of what it, you know, what information it provides about the individual. And I think it's pretty bang on, right? I think it definitely
yeah,
has allowed us to, you know, then formulate a response to a client. So after we've gathered everything, we've had that consultation, and then really be able to email the client and, you know, have a concise response that we can send to the client, so that they can know, okay, we understand what they're looking for and what their needs are. So that
yeah,
definitely helps in the sales, because again, it's like you said, right, you can market anything, right, but then when
Yeah.
they're coming in from the sales perspective, you really have to understand and know that person and know what they're looking for. And, you know, it is definitely phenomenal. And again, you know, as I said, we've been through so many different things that we've tried. And I think
yeah,
I'm not as excited as you guys typically are, but, you know, I mean, I think what's refreshing is the fact that, you know, the reality is, those old school marketing, you know, applications or processes, it will not cut it in today's day and age. It just
Oh,
won't,
yeah.
right? It
yeah,
won't. I think for us, the benefit that we have in terms of using AI is the fact that we've been in business for a very long time. So we've dabbled into so many different things, right? But I do understand, for a lot of individuals that have small businesses, really maybe even a startup, where maybe they can't afford to hire on all these individuals to help them with all these different things. The use of AI will really help them. It's like you said, Andrew, start somewhere. And then,
Yeah.
as your business is growing, you understand more of who your client is, who
Oh,
your,
yeah.
you can cater these things. And then, it will just kind of build from there. And again, even back in the day when we had a lot of different, larger marketing firms that we've worked with, we've also realized that within our core of our marketing team, all of our heads together, I honestly think that this has been a much more fruitful and successful, marketing plans and strategies that we've implemented than we've ever had in the past. Right. So
Right. And
yes,
I
thanks
think
to
it's that
AI, it has
combination
its
of
benefits.
human and AI, as our
Yeah.
question from Iman points out. She was asking more specifically, how do you balance the human creativity and the AI automation? Which,
Mm,
I'll ask to Steve in a second because it's a really important topic. But I think it's not only in the creativity of creating content, but it's also in the balance of the whole approach, right? Like now
mm,
our sales and marketing approach. So we're balancing human creativity and AI automation in the
mm,
generation of the content, but we're balancing that also in the whole entire sales process, right? So
mm,
Rachel's personal interactions with the clients are absolutely critical to being able to retain and engage with new clients. But she's now augmented by the new technology that she's got underneath her to be able to go and do these personality assessments to understand the types of things that will engage better with that specific individual by
yeah.
being able to. And by the way, we used AI to generate those questions, right? Because
Mm,
often, developing the right questions, if you're doing it, if you have a process, if you have a sales and marketing process that is driven based off of an initial consultation, the most important thing in that consultation are the questions that you're going to ask the potential prospect or the
mhm,
prospect. Are you asking the right questions? Are you getting out of them the information in order to deliver value and understanding what it is that they truly value, right?
mhm,
And so developing that list of questions, which again, use ChatGPT. Go in and be like, this is my business. This is what I do. Can you help me develop a list of questions to help me identify the value proposition that I can prepare for my clients, right? And then what we do is we develop that list of questions, and then those questions that Rachel, as a human, asks the customer. We don't have them fill in a form. We have them we have Rachel ask them the question as a human being. She takes that, puts that into the form. The form then goes back to the AI and says, hey, based on these responses, can you give me some insights onto how I can close this lead? That goes back to a human. It goes back to Rachel and Karen, our sales and marketing team, who then use that to go, okay, I need to understand, has it made the right judgment calls? Is it giving them more tools and insights to be able to make that right decision? And it's that balance
mhm,
of humanity and AI automation that is going to really drive and close more sales. And what I can say, and it's not definitive yet as to whether the AI caused it, but we do monthly reporting every single month on our close ratios and our lifetime value and all the important KPIs. And what we have seen is since we implemented that tool, it's what we can clearly see is that the conversions have increased, and they have increased substantially. Like we're talking about 100% increase, and it's not. I'm not saying that that's the only factor, right? There's a whole bunch of other factors that go in, but you also can't discount that and say it's had no impact on it, right?
yeah.
It really is driving that. But before I should get off my soapbox about this and give Kasim his opportunity to say, well, how do you balance the human creativity and the AI automation in the content creation as one of our big content creators?
I think Iman brings up a really important point because a big message which people are getting from using ChatGPT and watching other people use ChatGPT is to create content, do copy, paste, and then they feel like that's it, they've done the job, and they'll start
Mhm,
getting leads, and their marketing process will somehow work and become very successful. I can personally tell you, as someone who uses a lot of AI, and I'm sure other people who would play around with ChatGPT, we can tell if a piece of content is generated by AI, right? Like if I go
Yeah.
to someone's blog or if I look at something, there's definitive clear signs I can see and be like, okay, this is generated by AI. I don't want to read it anymore, right? Because I don't care. I can just go to ChatGPT and read it myself. Now, what's really important, I feel like, is that you have to be cognizant of the fact that AI is not there to replace you, rather, it's there to help you. It's there to be your helpful marketing asset and resource, which can take out a lot of pain from the process. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's you who has to apply that final massage, make sure that it aligns with your brand voice, and to really make sure that it's providing value to the person who's reading it. Because I can tell you for sure, these billion-dollar, trillion-dollar giants like Google and even Bing, now that their search engine is going up because of Bing Chat as well, is that they can tell when a piece of content is generated by AI, right? And if you expect you can
Mhm.
start a blog and generate 100 blog posts using AI and get to the top of SEO, that's not going to happen. Google is going to flag you, right? They'll only boost your content and you'll only get your SEO done properly if the content actually provides value and users engage with it and find it more helpful. And that has to be done with that human touch and interaction, which Rachel also mentioned is not only important in the marketing side, but also really important in the sales side as well.
Right. Well, and interesting enough, I was listening to um, Neil Patel. For those of you not familiar, is probably one of the leading marketing geniuses when it comes to content and digital marketing. I got to meet him actually personally down in San Jose one year. And what was really interesting is he was talking about how the algorithms, specifically talking about the search engine algorithms and search engine optimization, how for a long time, it used to be really long articles that did really well. But now, actually, the length of articles for search engine optimization is decreasing because the algorithms are actually looking for ones that are more actually human generated. So, like, you don't need to necessarily have a really long blog article to actually have good SEO engagement. But what you do need to do is have that human interaction. He did specifically say that you're going to see human-generated blog content outperform AI-generated blog content. But that doesn't mean that there's not a place for AI in your blog content creation strategy, right? So first of all, blog, it can help you to develop ideas and to come up with a whole bunch of list of topics that you might blog on. You can have it do an outline to give you a suggestion on how to structure a good blog post. And then you can run it through the AI to analyze it and say, has this been optimized for search engine optimization? And say, what recommendations would you make to improve this from a search engine optimization standpoint? So you're leveraging AI to create human generated content to be able to optimize for search engine optimization, as well as, and this is the hard part about where we live today, is not only, like, you're literally trying to optimize for a robot and a human at the same time, right? Like you want content that's genuinely engaging with your community, whoever that community might be, but you also want to optimize it for the robots so that the robot will show it to more people in your community, right? So it's a fine line, and how you walk that fine line is ultimately the keys to success. And another question we have out here is: are there notable examples of case study where businesses have successfully utilized AI in their marketing and lead generation? And I would say, like, yeah, it's us. We've done it, and we're not alone, right? Like, there are so many other businesses that are out there, and I would say we're not even necessarily the best. I would argue we're probably up there in our specific field and niche because there's less people in the accounting world who are adopting and innovating with technology in general and AI in specific. But there's a ton of people out there. There's so many amazing people that you should go out and follow and listen to. Like, I mean, there are superstars out there that are doing this. And one example I heard just the other day was a guy who took his business from zero to $150,000 using AI, and I think it was called AI social automation was his platform, if I'm not mistaken. And what he built is he used AI to generate courses. He went out and built a big social following. He was specific on Twitter, built a big social following on Twitter, and then went out and then monetized that audience by selling them value, which he did in the form of a course. And he was able to turn that into $150,000 a month of recurring revenue and a one-man shop. And that's just one example of people who have been able to go out there and leverage, digital marketing, content strategies, and artificial intelligence to build and grow a business, right? And I think that there are so many opportunities with AI to help you. I mean, sales and marketing is just one aspect, and we're going to, over the course of this year, get into other aspects of it. But it's also, like, in my opinion, the lowest hanging fruit, because that's like, when it comes to large language models, this is where they excel, is in words and content. And it's just a fine line, going back to Iman's point, of balancing that humanity with the AI automation.
I would personally say a lot of businesses, from small businesses all the way up to billion-dollar giants, who are using AI in their marketing in so many ways that we cannot even fathom at this point. So there's a ton of cool stuff, even with the CRM we're using right now. There's a ton of stuff you can do with A/B testing, and this is something I highly recommend anyone who's trying to put out their message and build their brand, is to play around with A/B testing, because it really informs what kind of content you want to put out there and what kind of content is going to do well. And that's all AI, right? And there's like, I keep going back to the CRM we're using, but with other CRMs as well, and with other tools as well, there's this concept called lead score, right? So based on based on the person's behavior, how they've interacted with your content in the past, and how likely they're to respond to you, it's all AI going on in the background, and it gives you a lead score of how hot the lead is, how cold the lead is, right? So this is all stuff which is embedded in the stuff we're in the technology we're using, but I don't know if people are necessarily aware about it. And that's sort of our mission with this entire podcast, is to bring out the unknown, is to highlight those advantages you're missing out on in terms of AI, and specifically with this episode, to build your brand using marketing and lead generation.
I think a lot of people, when they're putting out, like, I mean, first of all, way back in the day, I think people just used to think, I have a website, that's marketing, that's it. Right? But I think the other thing about it is, it's one thing as a business person, you may know what you think is important. And I think there used to be maybe that prior emphasis of, oh, this is what is important. It's like, no, it's not what you think. You have to understand, what do the masses think is important? That's what you have to understand. What do they think that's important? And ensuring that you're aligning your message to what people want, what they want, because that's important to them. So it's like you said, right? Because knowing, how engaged are they to specific content that we're putting out? What are people reading? Okay, you're not reading this. Okay, you like this. This is what's important, so you can really cater down. And, I think it's so important to have that understanding of, what do your clients want? What do your prospects want? And then give them what they want. And that's really going to increase the engagement, and then, lead into the, the closing of that particular client.
Yeah. And to go back, I guess, to Kasim, your point about why are we doing this, right? So we're an accounting firm. Why are we doing a whole podcast and series on AI automation? Yes, it's because Kasim and I are fanboys and we love it. And yes, we want to convert Rachel to being a fangirl to join us. But it's also because our mission is to help our clients organize their finances, create wealth, and transform wealth into a legacy. And I truly believe that AI is the number one tool, the number one equalizer to help a small business owner create wealth. Through automation and digitization. And there's, we've talked about like building the content strategy from start, then actually building the content to use in the strategy, building the lead magnets, A/B testing, and then you like this whole series of analysis that you can do with artificial intelligence. Like we run paid ads as well, and so what we're able to do is take all the statistics of the paying ads and then run that through AI to do analysis on that to be able to help us better understand what's working, what's not working within our paid ads. But we can also take all the metrics because we're using a cool tool called Metricool, which keeps track of all of our social media platforms, all the engagement, the likes, the shares, all that stuff on all the different social media channels. And we're able to pull that information, pull that data into ChatGPT and have it analyze that to help us better understand what's engaging, what's working, what should we do more of to drive more engagement. And we're at the tip of the iceberg of what we can do with the analysis on these tools, but it is incredibly powerful. And I would say, like, Kasim, if you were to say, what's the number one thing that you would encourage a small business owner who's not leveraging AI today to do, what would be the first thing you would want them to walk away from this podcast and start doing to grow their sales and marketing leveraging AI and automation?
Oh wow, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need more than 10 minutes.
Yeah. Let's circle back next week. So
Yeah, by the way, you've got 9 minutes.
my assumption is that they're not doing anything right now in terms of marketing, right? That's my assumption right now. So if you're not doing anything right now, the first thing that you need to do when you walk away from this podcast is to use any LLM. I'm not saying it should be ChatGPT or Bard or whatever. Use any LLM to come up with your own customized plan, right? So that's the tip of that's the foundation on which you're going to build on. That's very important. Input as much information as you can. Tell it about your ideal customer segment. Tell it about your business. Tell it about what services you're offering, and tell it about how you want to get the sales. Like, well, what channels do you want to prioritize? Whatever it is that you want to tell it, and come up with that plan that we talked about in the beginning, because that's going to be crucial to inform your marketing strategy down the line, whether you need to do lead magnets, whether you need to invest in paid, right? I feel like that's the most important thing that people need to do. Now, if you're already doing some marketing and you feel like it's not going so well, that's going to be a different thing. You can import all the data you have, like Andrew talked about, and just give it to AI for data analysis and find out what are the weak points, where are the areas you can improve in, right? So there's tons of opportunity in which you can implement this into your existing processes.
Yeah. And I would say, like, absolutely starting with the marketing plan is the most important thing. And included with that marketing plan, I would say also like defining who your target market is, because I don't think you can do anything until you have a marketing plan and you've developed your target marketing. The other assumption I'm going to make is that this is for truly small business owners, right? Like our area of expertise is owner managed type of businesses. So I'm assuming that you don't have a sales and marketing team to do this. This means that you're going out and running this on your own. So we're looking at how can we automate this process? And so I would say the most important thing is like get familiar with Canva from a content generation standpoint tool. Like assuming that you've now brought in ChatGPT, because that's number one, like ChatGPT and leveraging ChatGPT to build strategies and help you build content. But now you need graphics to go along and videos to go along with this. And in fact, we've got in the training video that we have, or the training seminar that we have, training course that we have to go along with this week's session, goes back to Canva and training people specifically how to use Canva. So again, if you're watching this and you want to get access to learn how to use Canva and all its AI tools, again, I encourage you to comment AI Unlocked in this week's episode to get a copy of that. And then I promise you that you're not going to know marketing with this. You'll get access to the course for free. And only people who requested here get access to that course for free. And again, if you do want access to last week's course, commenting AI Unlocked here will only get you this week's. So you got to comment on last week's to get last week's course. So you can go into LinkedIn, and go look at our events, and then go down to last week's and comment on that. And last week's is a great one because it does come with that white paper, as well as the course, which is an hour and a half long of video, and has I think 36 different modules designed to take you from zero to beginning your journey with AI, which I think is really an important step. But now it's like where the rubber hits the road, right? Like that's a little bit generic. Like, how do I do it in general? This week's episode is really where we really hoped the content would go with this, which is the labs that are meant to go alongside of this podcast, right? So this is hands-on. This is how you actually open up Canva, how you take its tools to be able to modify and update content. And what I really love is at the end of that, there's a specific tip that will show you how to use content from ChatGPT, where you can develop a list of whether that's quotes or list of books or whatever you want, and turn that into a whole bunch of content, like literally hundreds or dozens, whatever you lead, at the snap of your fingers. Yeah. Instantly, using its functionality that you've got within that tool. So that would be where I would go. Now, to close this off, I would say, Rachel, as our resident devil's advocate, if you were running your own business now and you had to launch a sales or marketing strategy, what would be the fears you have in using AI, and what could we do to help you overcome those fears?
Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you. This is the one area where I think you have to. There's no devil's advocate here. You have to use AI, because I think a lot of people starting off small businesses, they have great ideas and they think they can just launch into a business. You'll be surprised how many people don't have a business or marketing plan to even know where to start, what stages, to have an understanding. It's funny because I had a friend the other day that wanted to apply for one of the grants that they offer for small businesses. And, I was asking thought-provoking question, like, oh, have you done a business plan? What's that? I'm like, well, how are you going to market yourself? What's your competition? What's your target clients? How are you going to grow your business? Like, and it's so many, I'm like, yeah, you want to start a business and have a grant, but there's so many things that you need to do to connect the dots. And I can understand a lot of people don't even understand what these things entail, what a marketing plan entails. Yeah. So the reality of it is you do need to source this information from AI. There's no going somewhere else, okay? Because, and I think a lot of
you could go to a traditional marketing firm and pay tens of thousands of dollars if you want.
But then again, I still, you know what?
The firm is probably using ChatGPT themselves.
Oh, exactly. I'm charging you a premium, right?
Yeah.
Well, you will.
I think that's the number one idea on TikTok on how to make $150,000 is to become a digital marketing firm and do all of this for other people using AI.
You want to send me that link for that video? but yeah,
no, I don't. I need you.
Andrew's like, we're battling her from TikTok. I think you have to use AI. If there's one thing that I think that is important for a business, is to at least that stepping stone, because it's allowing you to take an idea and allowing it to come to fruition, right? And then once that comes into fruition, okay, what next? How do you scale? How do you? Because here's the thing: sometimes people, you may, Andrew, let's maybe talk about your dad, 35 years ago. Well, your dad had been in business before, but the point is you have a vision that, sure, I would love to do accounting for independent contractors, really help them to be able to pay less tax and this and that and whatever. But it's like, okay, that's your idea. You know what you want to do. Now, how do you scale it? Okay. How do you spread the word? And you have to use something. And not everybody can afford these, large marketing firms. And then again, these large marketing firms, if you're so small, they're really not spending a lot of time on you. They're making money off you, right? So
they're using ChatGPT to generate all this anyways.
Exactly.
Right?
So I think you have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And if you don't want to, hopefully if you have a kid, they're all into this.
Yeah, they will. A great income splitting opportunity, by the way, too. It's a great tax strategy. Bring your kids in, have them run all this for you.
Have any of you ever seen Shark Tank? I'm sure you must have, right?
Yeah,
Really,
of course.
what rock do you think we're under?
So,
Yeah.
yeah. The questions that sharks ask over there, like, what's your average customer lifetime value? What's your customer acquisition cost? How do you want to scale? What's the
Mhm.
branding message? Stuff like that. And some entrepreneurs don't have the answers to these questions, but with AI models and like LLM and ChatGPT and its advanced data analysis, you can get a lot of insights now on
Yeah,
these numbers that people used to struggle with, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
now you can build your entire business plan using AI and ask it like, hey, can you help me to build a business plan? What information would you need to do? How can you help me structure it? Can you
Mhm.
help me go section by section building the business plan for my business by asking me the questions you need to know about my business? And oh, by the way, can you also go out there and research this to find out if it's a good idea, to find out if there's competitors, to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
recommendations on a business I can have, right? Like it's
Mhm.
got the entire power of the internet available to it. It's incredibly powerful. And I mean, obviously, you know, Kasim and I are fanboys. We're thrilled by this technology, and it appears we have officially converted Rachel, who said
We
you.
we
You
have
heard it
No,
here.
no, no,
You
no, no, no.
cannot.
Don't be
You said
tempted
you
and
could
just
not
no.
do it without
Just
AI.
Let's celebrate, guys. We've
Just
done
in
it.
this area,
And
just
with that,
when it
that's
comes
the
to
end of our show.
marketing.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
I mean,
Let's wrap it up.
I know you guys are like this, trying to get me on your side, but this is okay. This is the one I'll be like, look, I'm coming on your side. You don't even have to try hard.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, I mean, it's again, many people don't even know if what's a marketing plan. They're clueless. They have no idea what that is. What's a business plan? They're completely clueless. So, you have to have. So it's even like what Kasim said. At the bare minimum, you just gotta have ChatGPT. That's it. At the bare minimum,
Yeah.
start with there,
That's the bare minimum.
and then then you can be hesitant with other AI stuff.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And that is truly it for this week. Not to just cut off Rachel, but we'll be back again next week. As I mentioned, there will be a lab that goes along with this course, specifically this week about Canva. So if you want to have a look at it, I do encourage you to download that. And thank you for those of you who joined in with us live. And we can't wait to come back and bring you more information next week on how to leverage AI to help create wealth for your small business. Thanks.
And just a
Bye for
quick
now.
reminder, everybody, go ahead, type in AI unlocked so that you can get this
Yeah,
course.
AI unlocked. Thank you, Rachel. Bye for now.
Okay, welcome. Okay, have a good one. Bye, all.
Bye.